Alright, so good morning, good evening, good afternoon as I get this situated here on my armrest. Okay, so today's February 13th, 2020. It's my mom's birthday today. So happy birthday, Mom. She doesn't watch these. What we're talking about today is so again, I made a video last night on the way home, so no new news in spring training or anything. And I know we talked about how I was going to talk about the Royals bullpen situation, because I didn't get to that after 25 minutes of that video. But I want to talk about, I want to go a little different direction here. I want to talk about the proposed new format of the Major League Baseball playoffs. So the first thing I want to say is that I want to get this out of the way first. I actually like the proposal. I'm actually all for very radical ideas for the baseball playoffs. There's a baseball game. There's a video game on the PC and Mac. It's called Out of the Park Baseball. And Out of the Park Baseball, you can customize your playoffs, and you can get very, very detailed on how you want to set your league up. It's almost everything in the game is customizable. So including the playoffs. And what I a lot of times do is that, I usually play out, like the most recent version I have, starts in 2019, even though you can play any historical season. I'm trying not to make this an out of the park video, but let me get through this real quick. I usually play the 2019 season, and then in the off season, I usually add, if the league doesn't do it automatically, I usually expand to 2 more teams. I add usually a team like in Las Vegas and a team in Montreal usually, to get to 32 teams. And then I reshuffle the divisions, so there's 4 divisions of 4 in each league. And then I take interleague play out because I don't like it, and then go from there. So, but what I do to the playoffs is that I make a very radical shift. I do actually a round robin double elimination in the first round, and then let the and there's 8 teams in each division or each league, so half the teams make the playoffs. And the double elimination just usually means that the better teams typically win. So, and then once you get to the division round, then everything works out like normal. So anyway, but Major League Baseball's current proposal is 7 teams in each league, so 14 out of the 30 teams, so just under half of the teams in Major League Baseball make the playoffs. The arguments against this I keep seeing all over the place are, well, we can't let that many teams in. You'd let in some teams that are sub 500 in the playoffs. So, who cares? The NBA, the NHL have teams under 500 in the playoffs, and it doesn't ruin their playoffs. Those 2 sports are some of the most exciting postseason that you could watch, because there's a lot of games. There's a lot of games, there's a lot of excitement, and there's a lot of teams. And I don't understand that. I don't understand that argument. People talking about the integrity of the game. Look, was the integrity of the game, did it diminish when the mound was lowered? Did it diminish when the ball was wound tighter? Did it diminish with the DH? Did it diminish with PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs? No, I'd argue that it increased from all of those. So, let's get off our high ground. Let's get off our holier-than-thou stance, and let's adopt an attitude that Major League Baseball needs to change. People talk about how we're not talking about altering the scoring. We're not saying that, if you hit a ball 450 feet, it's worth 2 runs instead of 1. I mean, other leagues have altered the way you've scored. Look at the NBA, for example, or college basketball. It doesn't matter, either one. There has been no bigger change than altering your scoring by 50%, going from 2 points to 3 points, just by making a basket from a little further out. And the math shows that you should definitely take those shots because it's worth your time. If you hit 40% of your shots from 3, That's like shooting 60% from inside the arc. It's a no-brainer. So let's talk about the baseball playoffs. So under the current format, or the new proposed format, there would be 7 teams in each league. So you have your 3 division winners and you have 4 wild cards. Your top division winner would get a bye, would not have to play in the wild card round, and they would automatically go into the division series. Excuse me. They would go into the division series to face the team that has the worst record coming out of the wild card round. The next 2 division winners would so then there's 16 playing in the wild card round. Okay, this is not a 1-game playoff; it's a 3-game playoff. So it's a best 2 out of 3. It's like a 3-game series being played, and they're all played in the home ballpark of the team with the better record. So the incentive to win your division and to get as many wins as possible, even if you can't win your division, but you can get wins but you know you're going to be a wild card. The incentive to win is astronomically high. People say that home and field advantage in baseball is less than any other sport. That's true to a certain extent. That's true for the first 8 innings. But when it comes down to close games, home teams always have an advantage because they get to bat last. They don't have to get the last out on the mound. So if you have a substandard bullpen, you can slug your way to wins at home. It's more difficult to do on the road. I'm not saying it can't be done on the road. The Royals basically did that against the Angels and the Orioles in the 2014 playoffs. So, like I said, it's not impossible to win on the road, but home field advantage there is something to be said about that. You don't have to be the pitcher. You don't have to be on the mound to get the last out. So let's look at what it would do. So your top division winner would be a bye. Your next two division winners, they would face the team with the best record. Who didn't get the bye would face the wild card team with the worst record, and so forth and so down. It's seeded, Then second best against second worst, and then the other matchup of the other 2 teams that are left. Now, the top wild card team does get to play 3 games at home. And they will get to, the top wild card team will play the second wild card team. And I like this format. I would prefer a longer series. I would prefer a 5-game series where if it was me, what I would do is that I would have game 2. I would have game 1 in the team with the better record. I would have it in their home ballpark, and then game 2 would be in the other ballpark, and then 3, 4, and 5 would all be back in the higher team's home ballpark. I think that way the other team could at least get a game. But I understand what they're doing here. Or you have a 5-game series and none of them are played in the lower seeded team's park. It still gives you a chance, still makes you yourself to win 3 games, but anyway, that's me. But I'm okay with the 3-game series. I like it better than the 1-game wildcard playoff, which, don't get me wrong, adds a lot of excitement. It's very intense. I went to the 2014 game, the Royals and the A's. It's something else. It's very nerve-wracking. I'm trying to get over here. It's very nerve-wracking. So I do like the fact that there's 3 games. Now, there's still no margin for error. even if you're the home team, you lose that first game, which you could. You lose that first game, and now all of a sudden, you've got to win the next two. The next two become some sudden death. And then, then the winners of those games, they go on to go to the division round, and everything proceeds out like normal. You'd have obviously 3 teams eliminated, and now you have 4 teams left. So you have 2 teams. So you have 4 teams in the division round, then 2 teams in the champion in the LCS, and then you go into the World Series. For people talking about how this is going to incredibly lengthen the season, they've already said that you're eliminating the wild card game, and you're adding a 3-game series. Now these games are going to be played on the same days, so it's not like you have to wait for one after another. So what you're essentially doing is you're creating 2. You're not creating 8 extra games. Well, you are creating 8 extra games, but you're creating 2 extra days in the playoffs. I don't really see the fabric of baseball falling apart because the World Series might last an extra 2 days. Okay? And a way to combat this is schedule in some double headers during the season. Or better yet, reduce the schedule to 154 games. Let's take 8 games out of the schedule off everyone's. That I think 154 would be a number that would work. Or if you want to stick with, multiples of 3, you go down to 153. 153 would work. That's essentially you're losing 3 series. That's easily doable. Easily doable. So, anyway, that's kind of the structure of what it is. I'm for it. I hope they do this. I think they're going to do something. They talked about doing this as soon as 2021. Or was it 2022? I think it was 2022. I can't remember what they said. But sometime in the next couple years, they're wanting to implement this new system. Look, now everyone's blasting online. The reaction to this has mostly been negative, of course, because the reaction to anything is negative by people that are unwilling to change. Rob Manfred is getting run over the coals by the people that refuse to change. But what you need to understand is that he can't approve anything in a vacuum. He's got to have, I don't know if the Players Union has to agree to this, but I know the owners have to approve it. And look, the owners will approve anything that gives them a chance to make more money. So, and this definitely does. This will increase. It'll increase interest down the road too. Something else it does is that it doesn't eliminate tanking, okay? But you do get the incentive, because the more times you win, the better chance you have of obviously getting in that higher section of the playoffs, to where either you A, get a bye, or B, play the wild card round at home. And so there is an incentive to not tank. Now, teams that are only going to win 60 games anyway, they may decide to tank regardless. Look, there's only one way to improve. Well, there's 2 ways. There's 2 ways to get rid of tanking altogether. The first is to do away with the Major League Baseball draft. And they would never do that, because that would destroy the competitive balance of baseball anyway. The teams with all the money would just buy all the great players. And that would be that. And That would kill baseball. So that would be a way to stop tanking, because there would be no incentive to tank to get the higher draft picks. The second way to stop tanking is to have a relegation system. Now, relegation is not used in American sports, and so if you're unfamiliar with the term, essentially what it means is that the worst team every year gets relegated, gets sent down essentially as a team to a lower division. Now, that's not going to work for baseball, mainly because there's minor league teams, and you're not going to suddenly have. So you wouldn't suddenly have a situation where, like, let's say so my team's the Royals. Let's say the Royals get relegated. It's not that the Omaha Royals suddenly come up. It would be like the best team in AAA would get called up. But that team is a farm team of another different team. You would have to have a separate major league system that is specifically for the moving up and down. Relegation, what it does is that it eliminates, honestly, minor league baseball, which that also wouldn't work. So anyway, you're never going to get rid of tanking completely, but I do like this new proposal. I think baseball should look at it, and I think the ideal time, I think this is a good time to maybe put it in. And then once they expand to 32 teams, which they will expand, we're in the longest drought of non-expansion in baseball history right now. They will expand sometime in the next 5 years, I guarantee it. And once we get to 32 teams, I think going to a 14-team playoff then is good. I would actually go to 16 teams. I would go at 8 in each league. And I would do a double elimination round robin in the first round. I would cut the season down to 144 games to accommodate the playoffs. Essentially, the playoffs would start the 1st of September. I think they can do this. That's also, we'll make another video later of how I think baseball how they could do this and how they should do it. It would just add a lot more excitement to the game. So anyway. Enough of that video. I'm at work now, so everybody have a nice day. Thanks for watching.